are they going to represent me when I sell a drum kit for $29.99 on BeatStars? No, but they're going to represent me when I get a Drake record and the label's paying $20,000 for that beat. What's going down, everyone? This is the MEC podcast, the final episode. I have two very special celebrity guests, Erinn Knight and Dame Ritter, to celebrate the last episode with me. How are you feeling?
Episode 200. We should have built this up more. Like the finale of The Walking Dead or something.
Well, we can do 201.
I think 200 is a good number to end it on. It's been sheesh, and it's 200 straight. I don't think we missed a week, Pain.
No, we didn't. Even when we were on tour.
Yeah, we were on tour. Obviously, we've been sick through COVID. Like, I'm just patting us on the back because we did 200. I mean, it kind of came just kind of routine. Like, once you get into it, hopefully this is a message for other creators. And I know that, it's not the same as like making a song a week. I don't want anybody. I'm just talking about the idea of being this consistent for almost 4 years, essentially. Just showing up. Obviously, we have our personal lives. We have other things going on in our business lives, but we showed up. And I just want to thank you guys for that because obviously, I definitely, when I started this, I was just kind of dolo. And then, then I was rocking with Kato for a minute, and then Pain came on. And then we were blessed enough to have Aaron's voice join us to give us a little pickup, a little energy. So we all showed up every week. I know that at times, like maybe I wasn't on an episode, or there weren't that many episodes where we were missing somebody. But we still held it down. So I think that's dope. I don't, and hopefully it was just an example. We always tell creators that they got to be consistent. We had to be an example of that. So props to y'all for showing up every week and dropping gems. It's been dope.
And shout out to the people that grew with us. That's what was really amazing to me. And it felt like the right combination when Erinn joined. It felt like the energy went up and then the viewership did as well. So, I appreciate everyone on the other side of the screen supporting us for, 200 episodes. That's a lot. And I know that I got a comment this morning from someone who was like, who's the young lady on the show? I just tuned in. This is the first time. So there are people who are just now starting to consume our episodes, which is, it's amazing after 200 times, 200 weeks of doing that. It's a lot.
Yeah. Like for me, like, the MEC was born out of a pretty dark time for me. So it was kind of therapeutic, just to kind of rant on here every week as I was going through some pretty ridiculous shit. Like I haven't met anybody that's gone through, or at least what I think is as ridiculous of a time as I went through at the end of Funk Volume. I'm not just trying to compare like war stories or whatever, but like I went through a pretty dark time, and looking back on it, like I didn't even realize like how dark the time was, because sometimes when you end something, you're just trying to figure shit out. Like, what are you doing? Like, what am I working on? Who am I? And I just think that the MEC kind of gave me something to just like vent sometimes. But I thought it was necessary because like, I believe that a big part, there were a lot of reasons Funk Volume failed, but one of the biggest reasons is like just a lack of education, on Hop's behalf. And I was like, okay, there needs to be a platform that really, that comes from a perspective, a management perspective, label perspective, or just a real perspective to just kind of explore some of these topics 360. and encourages artists to be educated so they can lower the chances of having that tension with their manager or their label. Because education is just super important. I've been a fan of education my whole life. Like institutions, whether you go through a formal institution or whether it's YouTube University or however you get education, hopefully you just get it from a great source that actually knows what the hell they're talking about.
We're really hitting them with the hot takes on this final episode. Yeah. Dame values education.
But yeah, so this is what this platform to me was, because I looked around, I was like, I don't really see that many platforms that are really given like what it's like on the ground, right? You can read Donald Passman's book, you can read all these books or whatever, but it's really not gonna help you with like how to manage the tension with your managers or what it's like to really hit the road, or, so it's a lot of different things that, not saying that you shouldn't read Donald Passman's book, but this podcast right here is 3 perspectives that have, built something from the ground up, that have, been in so many different situations. There's a big difference between reading Donald Passman's book and doing what you guys have done. And that's what we wanted to share on this podcast. And I think we've done that because we've gotten a lot of great feedback. And that's really what kept me going. Like, people, because at first I thought I was going to be able to like make this a subscription based thing. And we did for a little while because the MEC went through different transitions, right? I thought, artists are going to value this education. I'll be able to do a subscription based thing. And I quickly found out that artists don't pay for shit. So I was like, okay, it wasn't supposed to be a huge moneymaker to begin with. So let's figure this out. And we did it was subscription based for how long, Pain? What was it like? 2 years?
Yeah, I think 2 years at least. Yeah.
2 years. And it was cool. And then BeatStars came in and sponsored it and allowed us to just open it up to everybody. And it's been a free platform ever since. So we've definitely gone through different phases and transitions of the MEC, but again, we've been consistent. So, and the MEC existed, what is that, 2016, because it was just membership based, and then we didn't have a podcast. The podcast obviously started 200 episodes ago, but the MEC existed probably 2 more years before that, or at least a year and a half before that. And we've toured. We did the MEC tour. That was dope. So we've done a lot. We definitely have done a lot. So this episode will be a combination of what we normally do, and then maybe some fluff and tears at the end.
I'm crying the whole time. I'm gonna let you know. I've just been sitting over here trying to hold it in. So not just at the end, because I'm emotional. So this is gonna be tears the whole time.
Yeah. Nah, I mean, so why don't we can talk about why we feel comfortable with the partnership, or each give our individual takes on why we feel comfortable with the partnership with Raedio and them kind of taking over content and programming going forward. We don't have a specific date for that yet, but it should be sometime in the next month, 2 months, 3 months, hopefully before that, but there's no specific date yet. But maybe we just talk about that, like why we feel like this partnership makes sense. Do you got? I mean, I've already probably I don't want to just dominate this conversation. You guys can go first, and then I give my reasons, because they might be different. I don't know. We've actually never discussed. I don't know if we've discussed this. So yeah, I'm curious to hear your guys' response.
I mean, for me, I think that Raedio is such a interesting and dynamic company. I guess it was when we still had the BeatStars partnership, and we were, still interviewing people once a week, it was a couple times a week. And I remember you hit me, you were like, hey, I'm interviewing Benoni for my episode. He's the CEO of Raedio. Do you want to hop in on this? And that was so exciting to me, because you know how big of a fan I am of Issa Rae. Clearly, she's on my Black Girl Hall of Fame wall. But yeah, so I remember interviewing him and being like, okay, I see why their company is doing so many things, because he was such an intelligent human, but so grounded, so kind. So for me, even before we even knew they were interested in, partnering, I was excited because now I have a new professional contact that I'm like, this guy runs one of my favorite companies in music, and he cares about Black people, which is big for me, and he cares about music and he cares about artists. So just knowing Benoni and getting to know him since then, he was always super generous with information after that and very caring. I tapped in with him in LA a couple of times in person, and then you hit us and you were like, hey, they're looking to partner with us, whatever. So what most people don't know is we've actually been working on this process of transition for months on end. So I went out to meet the Raedio team at the end of last summer, and it was one of the most affirming experiences for me, because again, it's not just Benoni, it's like the whole team has the same type of energy. They care about art, they care about people, and they want to keep it going. So for me, the reason that I feel so comfortable with this is because I know that the MEC is very personal to me. I've only been around, I think I joined like just after episode 100. I think you interviewed me when y'all were around like 103, 104, and then you invited me to join. So I think I joined like 110, 112, something like that. So I haven't been here as long as you and Pain have, but it still feels very personal to me. It feels very much like a family to me. I get stopped almost every time I'm at a music event by somebody who listens to the MEC or has tuned in previously or follows the page. And so it just feels like family. And so you don't want to let your family go to just like some corporate entity that's like, yeah, we're going to monetize this and change this and da da da. So for me, I feel comfortable because I feel like the MEC is now going to be in good hands with people who want to progress and move what we've done so far and elevate it. And I think that it'll be a good place for people to land, to have more questions answered, to be exposed to a wider base of knowledge. And so I'm not exactly sure how we're going to continue with it and what our involvement is, but I think that it is really in good hands, and I feel confident in the people who are invested in this now.
Yeah, Erinn said a lot. Yeah, I didn't have the pleasure of meeting the Raedio team, but what Issa Rae has done in the entertainment, theater, TV universe feels authentic. And then obviously Dame and the team have a relationship, and I trust Dame. Someone commented, I think it was a joke. I hope it was a joke. Like, oh, MEC podcast is breaking up. I guess it's another Funk Volume. And it's like, Funk Volume didn't get an exit interview, so
I don't know what people. Up. We already
we're not breaking up. Yeah. And honestly, I have I really do want to just like transition out by dropping some kind of podcast on Mondays, just so people don't feel like there's suddenly a vacuum. Maybe that's selfish. I don't want people going to other platforms, but
no, I think you got, especially in the producer community, because I didn't tap into the comments like I should have, but when I did, you got folks, there's no reason to stop, especially from a producer perspective. I think they continue to need your voice, your experiences, your sense of humor. I think they need and a lot of times the videos that you did solo just for the producer community that weren't the MEC podcast that you do. I don't know how frequently you do those. I just see them pop up every once in a while. I don't think none of us are like leaving music, right? None of us are like, hey,
jury's still out on that one for me.
Yeah, Erinn keeps faking. I was faking like 2 years ago, and then I just finally realized, look, Dame, you're always going to be in music in some capacity. Just deal with it. Doesn't mean you're not going to get into other stuff, but it doesn't really make sense to leave music 100% when you have so much experience that you can leverage. But this new partnership is to prevent. I mean, nothing like Funk Volume was ever going to happen with us. Like, that's ridiculous. But Funk Volume doesn't exist anymore. And I wanted to prevent that because, like, I personally, I was kind of losing steam myself. Like, where is this going to go? Like, I always want to progress. I don't want to just plateau and just do the same things over and over and over again. And I think, yeah, we probably could have thought of other ways to kind of take the MEC to the next level. But when I had the conversation with Benoni and they already have an infrastructure, it's almost like the conversation of like signing to a label, right? Like they have an infrastructure. They're working with all these big brands already. And like Erinn said, the most important thing is like, these are genuine folks that are knowledgeable and care about the creator community. So I felt like, what we started would be in great hands with Raedio, with just additional resources. So it is kind of like, signing to a label, essentially. A lot of the same thought process. I just wanted to see the MEC continue. I wanted, even if it's not me sitting here every day, like I just wanted to see the MEC continue as opposed to Funk Volume, which hasn't continued and doesn't exist anymore. Like that would have been a shame to me. So I thought this was a perfect opportunity, to have somebody come in and just kind of build on the foundation that we set. So
the point I was going to make was whatever episodes because I have a million ideas and very little time, but since Monday's already blocked off for MEC, there's an open invitation. Whatever I'm talking about, I know the two of you have stuff to talk about. So even if you have a particularly eventful week that you want to talk about on any platform I have, please join.
For sure.
I'm taking you up on that.
I'll be texting both of you regularly and saying, hey, I'm thinking about doing this topic. You want to jump on? And so, and it won't be live or anything, but similar format. Why break up or not break up? Why eliminate a certain chemistry and energy from your life when it works so well? So hopefully there aren't too many people that feel like this is the end of anything. It's just a different path.
And there's gonna be people in the comments that just continue to make up their own stories anyway. They're like, no, they broke up because they're fighting. They don't like each other. They, Dame did something shady again.
Erinn stole $1 million. MEC was grossing what, 2.5 million an episode,
and I found out, and y'all were only paying me $20, so I had to leave.
So I mean, they're one of the things I don't know if you failed at it. Like we didn't really try to monetize the MEC like that. Like I didn't want to ever be seen as one of these like click funnel platforms where we're trying to sell people. This was never supposed to be like a big money maker. Did we make a little bit of money here and there? Obviously the subscriptions, we never got to a crazy subscription base, and BeatStars definitely didn't pay us a lot of money. Raedio didn't pay us a lot of money. Like it's never been about, trying to just make as much money for us. It's always been about the community. It's always been about sharing information that I know that the independent creator community needs. So
I can vouch for that because we had sponsorship offers that Dame was shooting down. He's like, no, we're not doing that.
Who?
I'm not going to say the companies, but we had a couple offers and you were like, no, I'm not trying to do it. And I was like, oh, well, this is money. Let me see if they'll sponsor something I have going on. No, they wanted MEC. So we stayed 100% ad free. We never had a sponsored video. We never had any kind of we never had a
I mean, we had BeatStars essentially, but
on the podcast we weren't advertising them. We were never shoving an ad in anyone's face on any one of these episodes.
Right. Yeah, and I don't know if you're protecting it, but I don't mind if you say it. Maybe you don't want it. Maybe we can talk about that after. I honestly don't remember. I don't
remember either.
I definitely want to, I think people have to be protective of their brands and what you associate with. So maybe that was the thought process. I don't know, but it's never been about money. None of us made a lot of money through the MEC. What I did, the most valuable thing for me selfishly has been like the people that I've been able to meet, like through the MEC, right? Because especially when we used to have the live sessions every week, a lot of those, it started out with my personal contacts, just reaching out to people like, hey, would you mind coming on the platform and sharing your experience? But then when I kind of exhausted all those relationships, because it's a lot of weeks, like I was just cold emailing or cold DMing people and starting conversations. And a lot of people that I've had on the MEC, I've continued to build relationships with or work with, or they've connected me. Like that's been the most valuable thing for me selfishly by creating the MEC. I definitely built a lot of dope relationships. So yeah.
I would say on that same tip, like on the selfish part, I like always feel like I don't see me in the world. Like there are a lot of Black women execs, but a lot of them are just like behind the creator that they support or behind the label that they support. And so for me, it was like, I don't see Black women talking about their woes in the music industry or problem solving. It's typically white men. I think there's a rise in Black creators making podcasts right now, or Black business people, like JR from NPR Global, and then the brand man guys, which is cool. But again, for me, one of the hardest things being in this industry is not having somebody who I can look to say like, oh, you have a similar experience to me, even if it's not completely lined up. So for me, I wanted to be a part of being a voice for other women, but especially Black women. And then I think that even leads back into why Raedio felt like a good choice, because I know that not only are they considering Black women, but they're led by a Black woman. So we're not going to be discounted. It's not going to turn into, okay, all right, we're going to take this over and now it's going to become this super corporate thing. I think that Black women will always be a thought process, which is something for me is like, how can I give us more access to the knowledge base, and and I think that's like some of the consistent feedback I get. People are just like, I love the way that you say things. When you say something and I can understand it because I can tell that you come from a similar place or a similar struggle that I do. And so for me, like, yeah, I think selfishly, that's what I'm like, oh, even for me, like coming back and rewatching clips and being like, oh, that's where I was in that moment. Or I wish somebody would have said this to me when I was first getting started, or I wish I knew it was okay to be that emotional as somebody in business, And so, yeah, I think that the MEC has given me space to be me, which is something that I felt like y'all have never asked me to fit into a mold, or like, well, say it like this, or don't offend anybody, or maybe don't talk about being Black so often, which is like feedback that I've gotten from so many different places. You know what I'm saying? They're like, oh, well, we get that, but can you assimilate and then bring that out later? Like, we'll add your face for the diversity ad, but we don't really want your experience. So I feel like I've been welcomed, and I'm super grateful to you, Dane and Pain, for having me and giving me space to really, really be me, like come hell or high water,
Nah, for sure. I feel like we really needed you at that point. I just think we needed another voice, another perspective, and the fact that when I had you on and we spoke, I was like, okay, that this voice makes a lot of sense, and I think it's a voice it's a perspective that's missing from Payne and I going back and forth every week on the podcast. So I think it just fit right in, and then just personality wise, I think it gelled pretty much right away also. So, I think you've been a blessing to the podcast and to our community. So I'm glad you were rocking with us. Let's jump into a couple of topics. I know that my guy LaRussel has been an example that we've used time and time again, because he's doing so well. Like, he's doing so many things right. But I think a lot of independent artists, they start doing things well and then they turn around and start, giving advice. And sometimes I agree with it, sometimes I don't. But he had a video in particular where he was talking about middlemen. And we were talking before this podcast started, basically like the idea or the label of a middleman is already just kind of seen as a negative thing, right? Erinn, I don't know if you have that definition still up, but maybe if you just kind of read the definition, we could just talk a little bit about middlemen, because middlemen or middle women, they just from the jump get a bad rap. And, sometimes these are very crucial pieces to a process. And when you say like when you minimize somebody, well, I used to hate that shit. Like, oh, he's just the business guy, or he's just the manager. I'm like, bro, do you know, like, that I am the glue to this? Like, I never really kind of beat my chest or said anything like that, and, just hella ego. But like, that's the reality. Like, stop minimizing people's roles. The like is, just make somebody feel like you can replace them with any cog in the wheel. Like that's not a thing. Like these people have, maybe I ain't gonna say everybody. There are people that probably can be replaced, easily replaceable. But, when you start referring to somebody as just when they have a lot of experience, they're super professional, and just a passion for something, especially that used to really get on my nerves, because like I really care. You know what I'm saying? Like finding somebody that cares is ridiculously hard. Like just cares about you as a person. Bro, I'm trying to get you to therapy. I'm trying to figure out what's wrong. Like I care about you. My family cares about you. Like, don't ever just me. Like that is ridiculous. But anyway, back to the middle. I don't know if
I feel you. I tell people all the time, you can't pay people to care. And that's like the video I just posted when I talked about women in hip hop with the griot. I was like, artists are just like, oh, people come up to me at my events, or artists would be like, yo, this is dope. Are you excited? I'm like, no, I'm already like, I created this whole thing. Like, I know you're having fun, but this is a labor of love that I had to develop, especially when it comes to events, festivals. It's like, this is 8 months in the making. I'm tired. Like, I'm not just happy to be here. I'm happy to see it go off for sure, but I'm not experiencing this from a fan perspective or from an artist perspective. And I agree that like, oh, it's like, yo, you cannot pay people to care. You cannot pay people to give you all of their best. Do you know what I'm saying? Like, you can pay somebody and they can give you something, but people showing up to give their best, like that you can't put a dollar amount on somebody giving their best. So I think the minimization of people who serve as middlemen, which I'm going to read the definition of, is an oversimplification of what they do. And to me is a sign of ignorance or a lack of value. I'm not commenting specifically on this video right now, so I do want to clarify that. But I think that there is a lack of gratitude, a lack of honor, a lack of understanding when you minimize the roles of people on your team, especially people on your team who are making you money. It's like, not only are they making you money, but they're saving you time, which is the most valuable commodity. If you can't step into that role and duplicate it, or if you don't want to, then you have to reverence the fact that there's somebody there in a position that is causing you to not have to be the direct person. Like, you have a go-between. So the definition for middleman is a person who arranges business or political deals between other people. But synonyms are intermediary, go-between, dealer, broker, representative, agent, distributor, liaison. And the funny thing is, one of the synonyms is frontman. So if you did not to too much get into like the etymology of words, but if we're being really serious, artists are middlemen. Right? Because if I'm creating this whole business and we package it and we have somebody, the person who is going to get us in front of the audience base to get them to purchase the product that has been created, packaged, and is going to be distributed, really the middleman is the artist, because you're now the marketer for it. But we don't have to get into that because somebody's going to lose their mind.
Let's just play this clip from my guy LaRussel, and then in Pain, maybe you give us our first take on it. Let me see if I can. Let me see if the audio comes through. Cool.
When you start adding third parties, you can either miss opportunity or something get misplaced. Like I used to do booking for a theater, and I was trying to book certain artists, and I'd have to go through their agents, and it'll be like a CAAW, whatever.
Yeah. Sometimes they shut you down before it even gets presented.
They don't even get to it, and then when I meet them later, I'm like, bro, I was trying to get you for it. Would have been dope because I was building this thing, and they're like, man, I didn't even know. Right? And that's because a nigga ain't hollering at you. And then as the more middlemen you have, the more pie that's getting dipped into. Yeah. And I'm a firm believer in if I'm splitting pie, it needs to be with people who help me bake the pie, not someone who's just there because this is standard. You need to have a business manager. You need to have a this, that. Like, we're not going to do that. You got to actually provide something. If you didn't bring no ingredients or help bake this, you shouldn't get a slice of it. When you start adding third party.
So a business manager is crucial when you get to a certain point. So just, I want to let artists know that, because that came in at the end. Like that was just somebody you have to have, because it's that, like, yes, you definitely, when you start making a certain amount of money, you need a business manager. But Pain, what was just kind of, because there's a lot of things that we probably, there's a lot of things that we agree with. Like, I love LaRussel. I love what he's doing. But
definitely agree on some.
But that's the great thing about this podcast, because it's so new. It's a much more nuanced conversation. So Pain, what were your first, like, just reactions from that?
Well, I think what we always react to in these types of videos is when somebody speaks in absolutes and they tie it together with a nice little platitude. And those platitudes might work for them, but we know that they're flexible. You know, I might say no free beats, and then someone comes along and they make amazing music and they have a good fan base, and then it's like, yeah, here are your free beats. But there might be someone that sees my tweet saying no free beats, and I don't say that anymore, but there might be someone who saw that tweet years back and misses an opportunity. So ironically, what LaRussell's talking about goes both ways. You could miss an opportunity by taking his advice, which boils down to basically the no new friends stance, which just doesn't work. Because if that were the case, we wouldn't be on this podcast, because technically we're all new friends. So when he says, if you weren't there baking the pie with me, you don't get a slice of it. But he's also mentioning these large agencies like CAA and UA, or, you know, all those big agencies, they're going to take a slice out of the pie because they're doing the work for you at a higher level. And you would imagine that they're making you more money. I think what it comes down to is communication. So if there's a way for you to communicate to them what you're interested in, that you are able to or willing to book, you know, smaller events, entertain smaller offers, what the protocol for that would be. I mean, they might just say, you know what, we're not going to entertain those offers. And then I don't know where you go from there. Work something out where you would say, well, hey, if it's for a school or if it's for a nonprofit, can you just send those inquiries over to my management directly? There's a way to work through that. I just don't think shutting people out, especially if you're getting approached by a huge booking agency, is the right way to go. You can make a lot of money there. I do agree that managers and agencies do tend to often shut down smaller opportunities for their artists because, one, they have very limited time. Two, if they see an inquiry coming in for $300 and they're making 20% of that, they're just going to say, that's not worth my time. Give me a break. And it's not worth their time. And I think that's fine. But also, a word to managers and agents, it's not always the money in the short term that's going to be right for your client. And that's why it's such a nuanced thing to manage somebody to take on clients, because if you are truly simultaneously making money, but also building a reputation and longevity in the game, you're going to want to create long-term relationships as well as generate income for yourself and your clients. So I think it's a lot of stuff boiled down into that one clip. And what I just want to let people know about that is that, you know, life and all this stuff in the music business, it's flexible. It's about what you feel like is right for you, and be willing to change your perspective here and there, and consider everything. Consider the whole picture, not just what they're offering, not just what your favorite rapper is telling you, not just what we're telling you. Do what feels right for your career and for your spirit.
Yeah. I think what we have a tendency to do in the music industry, and again, why part of why the MEC exists, is like anytime something happens, we assume that the worst thing possible is the reason why that happened, right? The most devious, like the shadiest thing possible is why that happened. And that's what we want to lean into. But let's just take LaRussell's example. Like he was doing some booking for a theater, and he wasn't able to book this artist, but then met this artist, and he said that the artist didn't even know that he had reached out, right? So it very well could be a shady situation where the booking agent received his offer inquiry, didn't tell the artist for some kind of shady reason, right? Like that's possible. I'm leaving open that possibility as well. However, there are a million other possibilities of why that show didn't get booked, right? Like booking agents, because I don't want to minimize them, right? Yes, there are some shady booking agents, probably. There's shady versions of everybody. But a booking agent, you know, booking show, their strategy to it, you know, they should have relationships. They should be adding value to your touring business. And that's why they get the 10%. Not taking away. If you're in a situation where they're taking away, then you need to find a different booking agent if you're at a point where you deserve a booking agent to begin with, right? So going back to his example of him meeting this artist that didn't know, so that might be the way that team works. Like if they've already agreed on a strategy, this show offer came in, didn't align with that strategy, or maybe there were already shows booked for those days, they couldn't make it work, or the offer wasn't big enough. There's not really a reason to tell that artist if that's already the plan, and an offer came in and it didn't align with that plan, right? It also could have been that the artist very well knew about that offer and the artist shut it down. The artist could have shut that down, but that artist doesn't want to tell you that to his face. So they're kind of throwing the manager or the booking agent under the bus.
I've done that. I'm not going to lie. Cause if there's some shit I don't want to do and my management doesn't want me to do, and then the artist, I'm paying them a percentage to be a buffer. Same with lawyers. Yeah. That's a great strategy to have a lawyer, and then the artist comes back or whoever and like, man, I thought we had, I thought you were giving me this beat for free. And I'm like, I don't know, once the lawyers got involved. And it's like, fuck you. Why would you get lawyers involved to begin with and then try to fuck me over on a contract? Damn right I'm getting a lawyer involved and they're going to shut this shit down. But I'm not going to fight with you over something business when I'm in the creative realm. So yeah, this happens all the time.
All of the time. I've seen it. Like if I was to lean into any excuse of why that happened, I would probably be like, okay, that's probably what happened, because I've seen it so many times. And that's part of what we do. Like, I don't mind taking the bullet for you to save a relationship or to save face. At some point, you need to have some integrity and be able to communicate. But there's a fine line. Like, I don't mind being that guy. I don't mind being the bad guy for you. That's part of why I feel like I'm in that role. That's okay. Don't abuse it. Don't fuck up my name. You know what I'm saying? Don't abuse that, and again, have some integrity. But that's what I've seen more so than anything. But the bottom line is like, there could be a number of reasons why that show didn't work out, right? And to just lean into the shadiest one, which we have a tendency to do, it's not helpful. It's not. It's gonna hurt. It's gonna hurt the people you're sharing this experience with, because now they're on edge. Like, oh man, people are shady, and that's what creates like this just cloud of shadiness that just hovers over the music industry. But it's gonna hurt if you have that mindset, it's gonna hurt your ability to grow, because you're going to be so skeptical of everybody that can contribute to your business and grow your business. You won't know how to differentiate somebody that can help versus one that can hurt. Right. So you're just going to stay in house, and that's okay. Like if you're in the house and you're doing your thing, but like there's probably a lot of people that can add to what you're doing and be good middle women and men. And maybe the fact is that you don't have the right middle women or men. Maybe that's why you're not where you want to be. And I'm not talking about LaRussel in general.
Yeah.
I've just seen so many people, like so many young artists, be so skeptical to the point where it's really killing their growth. They don't let anybody in. They don't let anybody in because they don't want to give a percentage. They don't want to pay. They don't want to do anything because everybody's out to get them.
Well, and then also let me add this from my perspective. Hearing this statement, a lot of artists say that. I'm here with my day ones. It's no new friends. If you weren't there baking the pie with me, you can't have a slice. And to an extent, I can agree that if you're not contributing to what I'm doing, then what am I paying you for? But you can be a new person that I trust that can come in and elevate what I'm doing. I think it's better to have new people coming in, because 15 years ago, I wasn't doing what I'm doing today at the level I'm doing it. So a lot of the people that I came up with, a lot of my day ones, I don't talk to and I avoid like the plague, because it was very clear that they didn't want to see me win. I would make an entire album with someone, produce all the beats, everything. And these were my day ones. These are people I learned a lot of lessons from, not necessarily because they taught them willingly, but because bad things happened and they revealed their true personalities to me. And that's how I learned. So like there was a group, and I'm still friends with one of the women, but the other one, who I avoid like the plague, produced all their records, never got a cent. And they were living off the album sales and merch sales. I never got a cent. And it was always like, well, you're not taking the same kind of risk we are, blah, blah, blah. And it's like, wait a minute. What would happen if I pulled my beats off of your albums? You'd have nothing. So don't I deserve something here? Yeah, but you're not taking the same type of risk. And I was young. I'm a teenager. And so I'm just like, yeah, okay. Yeah, I guess I'm in school. I'm living with my parents. I'm not feeling like, jumping out the window right now the way you are. But what the fuck? I was still making all the music. And so that was unfair. A lot of people that I came up with just did horrible things and just were not great people to be around. So I don't agree 100% with that. I think it's nuanced, but I think a lot of people love to throw that whole "I'm still here with my day ones" type thing. And it's like, over time, you should change for the better. And if the people around you don't change, why are they still around you?
And then, my bad. Let me just, I know I've talked a lot. Let me just get this out while it's top of mind. Like the whole baking the pie analogy, right? Like, okay, you bake the pie. Now, what do you do with the pie? There's somebody that can put better packaging on it. Do you want to sell the pie on the street, or do you want this pie in Walmart for mass distribution? Oh, you plan to eat the pie. Okay. Do you have a fork? Do you have a napkin? Do you have something to wash the pie down with? Like, there's so many other things, like, depending on what your goal is with this damn pie. I know the pie analogy sounds great. If you didn't bake the pie, like, well, yeah, okay, I didn't bake the pie. But there are so many other things that we're doing with this pie. Who's going to do all that other shit? Like, so some of these analogies, they sound great and, they get likes, they get views, but okay. And I don't like to use them really, but if we're going to use it, let's go all the way through with it. Where the fuck did this pie go? Like, where do you want it to go? So, and that's what the middle men and women can help you get to wherever you want this pie to be. Yeah. Anyway, I'm done.
Yeah, because you may not actually even want to be in the pie making business. You may want to be in the recipe business. But if you don't have somebody who tells you like, hey, you can make way more with way less time selling your recipe instead of the actual pie. But like you said, that's neither here nor there. I think for me, I'm somewhere in the middle of this because I own a booking agency. Well, I'm exiting it this month, but I still do booking for a lot of my artists because I've worked with WME, CAA, UTA, and it's like they may say, we have your offer, we have you set at $15,000. If anything comes in below 13.5, we're not even entertaining it. We're like, shit, on the right day, we'll take something at 8.5. Do you know what I'm saying? So it's like, because they don't have, like you said, the mindset, the thought process, whatever, and then they're thinking about their percentage, and then you're just one of the numbers. So if you're not a high priority artist, or if you don't have an agent or assistant agent directed at you, if you get a couple of offers in and they have you set at 30,000 and that offer comes in at 20, they're like, nope. Whereas an artist who hasn't performed in a long time, or who is in need of that money, or in the hands of the right manager like me, if we get a booking and it's way below, I'm throwing a merch event, I'm gonna do a meet and greet, like we'll go for a weekend, we'll still make the money. So like for me, I see what he's saying, I get it, but again, like you said, you got to have the right middleman in place. Me as a middlewoman coming in to help my artists, I'm like, okay, well, what can you give us? And I tell people, I have an artist, she typically goes for like 5 to 7.5, right? Sometimes people come in at 3.5, and I'm like, okay, what can you give us? Like, can you guarantee us another show next year at the rate that we go for next year? Can you give us a part of the meet and greet ticket sales? Can we run a meet? You know what I'm saying? So it's like, it takes that. But conversely, he may have sent an offer that was like, like I don't tell my artists about every offer. Like, that's a waste of my time to communicate that. Like, somebody reached out for one of my artists who goes for 12. They had $1,000. I said, hey, thanks for reaching out. This is way under budget. He normally goes for 12, right? So my bad, y'all. He normally goes for 12. So I'm like, hey, thank you for reaching out. If he were to see my artist in public, and he was a friend of my artist, if he were to see my artist in public, he would say the same thing. Yo, bro, I was trying to get you booked. And my artist would have been like, I didn't even know about that. And he would be mad, but for what reason? You can't even, we have a whole band that has to play that we have to pay. Do you know what I'm saying? And so like, I think they thought they were doing good. They were like, we could probably give you guys $1,000. But I'm like, we're not leaving the house for that. You know what I'm saying? So I think there's so many, like you said, Dane, it doesn't necessarily always have to be malicious. Maybe the artist did kill it, but maybe it's just, maybe the agent didn't tell them, which again is why I don't work with a lot of these agencies and I book my own artists a lot of times. But going back to the pie analogy, you're saying they didn't help me bake the pie, but it's like, this is an issue that I have with artists right now. Artists will be like, well, I had to make the music, I had to do this, this, and this. It's like, for you to want to work with me, I also had to do my part. I also had to bake completely other pies to get to this point where you're looking at me and saying you want to work with me. So even though I didn't bake your pie, I baked my pies, which put me in the position to help your pies sell. Do you know what I'm saying? So I think even that, it's like, there's no reciprocity. Like, no CAA didn't bake your pie, but they probably, like, they're a conglomerate that has relationships that they can call, that they can text, that they can email, that you would never have access to had they only worked on baking your pie. So I think it's just like the artist mentality, to me, I am consistently seeing, and again, this is not directed at LaRussel. I'm just challenging the thought process and bringing some nuance. I totally get, because I don't really particularly enjoy the booking agencies. If you're not a top priority, you get screwed. Even if you're a decent priority, I've worked with some artists that are some level of priority. If they don't care about the offer, or if it doesn't, they don't think strategically. They're like, is it money? Is it not? Period. They just have too much on their plate. So I'm pro indie managers or indie booking agencies that care about the artist, but at the same time, the assumption can't be that that person has no value because they weren't a part of the creation of your art piece. It's like they had to go out and create their own other things to be a valuable part of your team. And I think all of that deserves value and respect. And if you don't want to work with those people, that's fine, but at what cost? You have to recognize, you know what I'm saying? Like, with my artists getting booked by me directly, we are not getting major looks for big festivals, but we clean up in all the smaller local festivals because that's where I've decided to work my relationships. So it's like my artist thought process is, if it is, this is worth it to me to say, okay, I'm making more money, but I'm not getting the bigger looks. But I have one now who's saying, hey, I'm actually more interested in the bigger looks. Can we go work with a bigger booking agency? You just have to count the cost. And I think that people don't want to count the cost. They just want to blame people. They're like, hey, I don't like this, or this didn't happen, so it has to be your fault. And it's like, well, to what extent are you willing to be involved in your business? Have you told your booking agent, bring me everything so I can look at it? If you have, then you can say, oh, well, they tried to whatever. But if you want to just be the artist and just be the music maker and just be off to the side, you have to understand that having other people interfacing with your business means that you're deferring to their judgment on what's best for your brand.
Yeah, well, and there are so many artists out there who have created hybrid models for themselves. I know an artist right now that I'm close to that has a Live Nation agency deal. And they're still booking smaller events because they know if they can get Live Nation, say, 3 days out of the week, then they can fill in those other dates with smaller ticket shows. And they're running meet and greets. They have their merchandise. They know how to route a tour themselves because they've done it so often. You know, same with when I tour with Soul. It's the same thing. We might be able to get a high guarantee in a certain market where either that the fans there are more activated and the promoters know that, but then we're driving 10 hours to the next stop. No, let's find something in between. But a big agency isn't going to go through that trouble. They don't care if we lose money in the interim between their shows. They're making their money. They're not on the road with us. And that's fine. I understand that. So you see it for what it is and you piecemeal it all together. I can say the same thing about producers. You know, I have management, and that's for big placements. Like right now, this is crazy. I have the #1 song on TikTok in the United States, the La Pat record.
Congrats.
And it's actually the Flo Milli remix, which is cool. So when I saw that she was on the remix, I was like, damn, I hope this gets a second win, and it definitely did. So thank you, Erinn. Thanks to everyone who's duetting that record and doing the challenges. But my management obviously represented me on that deal because that was with 300 Entertainment. Once it already went viral, but in the meantime, they know I'm on BeatStars heavy. So are they going to represent me when I sell a drum kit for $29.99 on BeatStars? No, that's ridiculous. But they're going to represent me when, I get a Drake record and the label's paying $20,000 for that beat, and we have more aggressive negotiation to deal with. That's a little more consequential. Most producers are using that hybrid model. So extend that to artists booking shows. They can get signed to a big agency and still do ground level work with promoters in different markets that they're familiar with. It's nuanced. There's no one way to do things. And I think a lot of people really mess their careers up because they focus on one way and they're not flexible.
Well, I just kind of want to defend the bigger booking agents for a second, because I think we even have to have a more nuanced conversation, because my experience with them, like we used to work with Paradigm. Like it was never like a dollar amount, right? We had a strategy for what we were doing. And in different markets, we were stronger. We were stronger in certain markets. We weren't as strong in other markets. So we couldn't have like, okay, we're doing 10,000 and up, because maybe in South Dakota, it's going to take some more time to build that market up. So we got to take the 5,000, or maybe in LA, it might be 25. You just never know. So hopefully
Paradigm has sense. I like Paradigm.
But it's not, but to me, it's never about the company, right? It's about your agent, right? Yeah, I feel like you should
That's very true.
You should go where you have somebody that's really fighting for you. If that's at a big booking agent, then that's wonderful, because they probably have access to a lot more resources. But if it's at a smaller agency, but somebody really believes in you, then that might make more sense. So I've never been at an agency where it was just like a certain dollar amount. It was definitely more strategic than that. so maybe you're not ready to be at a CAA. There's a whole, that's the thing, like with touring. Yeah, it's not complex. I don't want to sit here and make it seem like it's the most complex thing in the world, but there's a reason why those people are doing what they do, because they understand that business. Can you learn it? Yes, you can learn it. But can you build up the relationships they have in a short amount of time? Yeah, over time, sure. But like, you got to bake your pie. Like, you got to bake your pie. You got so much other shit to do. And yeah, maybe your homie can start learning this, but do you want to wait for your homie to get up to speed to be the equivalent of an agent at CAA? Like, so these are the things you need to think about. It's just not always simple. It's not always a simple thing, a simple decision to make, when you're talking about in-house versus, bringing somebody on that has experience and that can just, plug in and help right away. So anyway, Pain, I know you wanted to talk about gatekeeping. I know it was a terrible segue, but boom.
It's a long topic, and I think I kind of want to flesh that out. So if either of you would like to talk about gatekeeping on a non-MEC podcast episode the following week,
I'm down for that.
Here's the invitation. So cool.
For sure. Well, so if we are wrapping it up, I just really wanted to thank you guys for being on this ride. That, like I said, started in a pretty dark place. I have this, and I think a lot of people do it. Like, I'm always figuring out like what to work. I'm always working on a lot of things. And it seems like when I'm in a bad space, like personally, or, if I was going through a breakup or something, like my cure for that is to just start some other shit and just keep myself busy. Right. And I think the MEC kind of started like that. I did think it made sense, for all the other reasons I talk about in the beginning of this podcast, but it was really born in a dark space. It really kind of rose out of the ashes of what I was going through at the time. So I just wanted to thank Pain. Pain's been rocking with me for, I don't know when I met Pain. I don't know what year it was, Pain. I've probably known you since when? I don't know. I think I saw you at A3C, I think.
Yeah, wasn't that 2018?
It might have been before that. I don't think I was.
Maybe 2017, actually.
Yeah, but me and Pain been rocking with each other for a minute. There's no bad blood. I got nothing but love for Pain. He was invited to my wedding. He didn't come. It's all good. But this is my guy. I don't care what stories you guys make up in the comments. It's my guy. And then Erinn came on and has been family since I've met her. She's super genuine, super cool. I had a chance to meet her in person a couple of times now. We probably should have done a tour. It would have been dope to do a tour under the MEC banner. One more, because we did two.
I think we can still do one.
I think so too. And it's,
the past MEC, or what was the name that you came up with, Dane? Entrepreneur Music Club, EMC.
Yeah, maybe we can get two. Maybe I can get two lost to support some stuff. But yeah, no, I just wanted to thank you guys for showing up. It wasn't never about the money for any of us. And we showed up and shared our experiences. So thank you guys for being along for the ride. And I look forward to seeing like how we contribute to how the MEC evolves. But yeah, that's all I had to say.
Yeah, I mean, I echo that sentiment. I would love to tour with the two of you anytime, whether under the MEC banner, because you never know. Raedio might support that kind of tour. I think they would be open. You never know. Or under the Two Lost flag. I'm cool with whatever. And love you both. Dame, I'm sorry I didn't go to California for the wedding, but that's what anniversaries are for.
Yeah, no, it's all good. So yeah, Erinn, you wanna close this out? Any last words?
Yeah, I'm glad that I didn't cry at all. I'm just super grateful for the two of y'all. I think even working with y'all has been super validating to me, because y'all have I think, way bigger accolades under your belt. And y'all have never made me feel like, okay, this little indie person, y'all have always validated my thought process and really like challenged the way that I think about things. And so I'm super grateful for that. But it's been a really affirming process. And then I'm just super grateful to the MEC community again. I was accepted right away. Every week, people are DMing me and encouraging me and reminding me to keep going and reminding me that my voice matters. So I feel like as much as I've desired to give to the music community, the MEC has given me, I think, so much more. See, I feel the tears are coming on, so I'm not going to go much longer, but I'm just super grateful. I think that there's so much value in the music education space, but I feel like it's been convoluted by greed. And this place felt like such a pure place for me to be, to really say, hey, y'all, like, there are good people in this industry who care about artists and who want to increase the awareness of how to do business well. And I think, this has just been such a great place for me. It was reminding me, especially over the last year of my life, where I've dealt with a ton of greed and a ton of misunderstanding and things like that. It's always been affirming to me to be like, no, there's still good people here who care about humans and who want to see the music game progress and creatives win. So thank you to the MEC community. Thank you, Dame and Pain, for having me. I'm just grateful, and I look forward to the future, and I know it's going to be super bright.
Yeah. So I lied. I have a couple more things because you sparked a few things I wanted to say. One of the values of getting older, right, and kind of going through a lot of things is that I feel like I see in young people like who's gonna. I mean, I'm wrong every once in a while, but like once you see and from an artist, not even just from an artist perspective, but even from an executive perspective, when I see young people and I see how they move, I see how they talk, I see what they're doing, I'm like, okay, this person's gonna do well, right? And that's kind of what I heard and saw in Erinn when I spoke with her when she came on the MEC. I'm like, okay, she gets it. She's gonna do well. She's got to stop being so. On Twitter, every emotion is like, okay, she going up, she going down, but she gets it. Like, she's super smart. So it made a lot of sense. The other thing that you just said, like the music business education space is super weird too. Like, I never was competing with anybody. Like, it was never about, I don't give a shit about what Indiepreneur is doing, what whoever else. I love Indiepreneur, by the way. I wanted to amplify the platforms that I thought were doing well. So if there was another platform that gave good information, I'm trying to combat all the scams and the people that were, trying to take advantage of the creator community. So that was a kind of a negative thing for me. I was like, man, these people, even in the music business education space, are kind of weird. Like, some people are weird. I don't get this. I thought we were trying to help. Because at the end of the day, what it's about for me is like, I know how tough it is to be an independent artist, right? Like, we built our shit from ground zero. We didn't have any super connections or anything like that. So I know how difficult it is. And I know it's a very small percentage of artists that are going to be successful in this. So my thing is, I don't want the lack of education to be the reason why you're not moving, right? So if I can get this information to you guys as quick as possible, you can find out sooner rather than later if a career in music is in your cards. Because if you can find out at 20 or 21 as opposed to 30, 35, there's so much more you could have done with your life in that time. That's how I'm thinking about it. I know that I've never been that direct on camera about this, but that's how I'm thinking about it. And I can help a lot of young people get to a point to decide for themselves, not me. Like, I can't tell you where you're going or what you're supposed to be. But if I just don't want the lack of education to be the reason why you wasted 5 to 7 years. Right. So if I can be the person that frees up that time for you, that'll be amazing, because a lot more people are not going to make it than are. Right. That's just the reality of this business. So, yeah. Anyway, we're still going to be why don't we close it out with like just, what are you guys? I mean, I know you talked about like Erinn, the podcast and things, but like, just kind of go around and the stuff that you're working on, excited about, and then we'll just close it out.
So I have an experience design course dropping with Zoo Labs. I think it drops at the end of this month or the top of next month. My birthday is top of next month, so I kind of hope it drops around there. I'm also dropping an ebook on my birthday, May 9th. It's called How to Be Excellent, a beginner's guide to achieving the unbelievable. So I wrote it for the Excellence Academy based off of our core beliefs. But I really felt like it was just the beginning of how to be excellent. So it's a process from my life of I always tell people the E is for excellence. So I take you through a quick process. It's a really short ebook. I'm recording the audio version of it next week after I get the edits back. So if you don't want to read it, you can listen to it. But if you want to support me, you can buy that on my birthday. It'll be a really low cost. But that's one thing. And then I'm releasing at the end of this month a podcast for adults to fall asleep to. It's just me talking through my feelings in the music industry. So I'm really trying to integrate all the things that I do. I still want to educate people. I really want to be the emotional version of me. And then my YouTube channel is actually launching Thursday. So by the time this episode comes out, there'll at least be one video up. I'm just trying to build an audience on YouTube. I'm not going to be promoting it heavily on other platforms until I start building an audience, but it's just me vlogging through somewhat of my emotions, but also talking about the music business, talking about experiences that I have. So y'all will be seeing a lot more of me as a creator. I'm trying to get on the Pain game where I'm just dropping content, not necessarily to build a platform, but I think I just need the outlet. I think I got tired of people discounting me or making assumptions about me. And this podcast has shown me that people care about my voice and want to hear what I have to say. So, I'm just putting my voice out there more. So my experience design course, my vlog, an ebook, and a new podcast coming from me. And then also the How to Build Your Own Dreams podcast is out now, and we are dropping episodes weekly. And it's just my business partner and I talking through business tactics that have worked for us and that haven't worked for us, and just trying to figure out how to build our own dreams. So you're seeing it live and in action.
Nice. Pain, what you got?
Hey, I'm still here. So, like Erinn said, I'm making a lot of content. I've been getting a lot of pressure, positive pressure, to create a more comprehensive, concentrated, and organized beat selling course for producers. So I've been working on that. I can't put an end date on it. I have the materials more or less done, but not the ingredients are there, but the pie isn't baked, to use LaRussell's metaphor. So that's coming. But other than that,
might need a middleman to help with the pie, Pain. You need a middleman to add some sugar or some
I
foil.
I need a lot of middlemen. Actually, I need it's probably going to be a middle woman, honestly, but to help with or maybe someone who, I mean, I don't care what your gender is. If you can help me with my lighting setup, I'll use any pronoun. But when it comes to releasing, I've never done a course before, so I absolutely need some sort of third-party company for that. So I've been doing a lot of research. If anyone wants to drop some suggestions in the comments, I think I've settled on one company because a lot of them just don't have the interface for. I want it to be video, like that's the content people are used to. Me, I'm a visual teacher and visual learner, so I want to make everything visual, and so people can rewind and watch and see me actually do it. And there are very few platforms that allow for that, but that's coming. And now I have the number one TikTok song in the country. Hopefully that keeps up for at least another week, and then I can start wearing more chains to bed and acting differently. So who knows what's going to happen?
I got a name for your new podcast, Pain. It's the No Pain, No Gain podcast.
That's actually really tight.
That's
actually
really obvious. And why didn't I think of that?
That's very, very tight.
There you go. So, I mean, I think I've dropped, and people know now that I work with Big Ja. So, hopefully this year I was hoping it was last year, but the TV and film industry has proven to be just as weird and ridiculous as music, as you probably could. It's all entertainment. But I'm hoping that, we're definitely going to put out a feature film. I don't know if it's actually going to come out. We're going to shoot a feature film. That's the next step. The next step is like just creating longer form content and just proving to some of these studios and streaming platforms that we can create long form content, that there's an audience for it. So that's going to happen. We still have the Blackbusters podcast that celebrates Black cinema. So we review a different film every week. Actually, we just interviewed Brian Hooks from Three Strikes, the movie Three Strikes. That was a dope episode. We just dropped that on Monday. I think there's a lot we could do with the Blackbusters podcast. So I'm excited about the stuff I'm doing with Ja. And then there's a young lady named Persephone that I work with. She's got some dope projects in the works. So those are great people. I definitely plan on, taking that stuff to the next level this year. But in terms of music stuff, and actually some of Ja's stuff is music stuff, because we put out a soundtrack to the recent web series Cuddle Season that's been coming out, and that soundtrack is pretty dope in my opinion. I guess you can say I executive produced. I middlemaned it. I middlemaned the whole situation. So, no, but I definitely recruited the artist, and I executive produced it. I don't know, whatever. But we're gonna keep putting out music with series, and definitely with the feature film. So I'll continue to reach out to artists I think are dope, that makes sense to put the music to whatever content we're creating. I'm working with Two Loss right now. I'm still in a kind of a part-time marketing role, but that might eventually turn full-time. The Independent Living podcast, I still have that. I have an episode coming out with Tony Romiti. I shot that one already, so that one should be coming out soon. I just haven't been able to edit it. And then I got some other conversations that I've started that don't make sense to share yet, because what we've all learned is like nothing happened. Like I wouldn't celebrate anything until a check is cleared, or at least a contract to sign or something like that. So just some good conversations. I feel good about this year. And then we'll see where the MEC goes. We'll see what participation that we have, or, we're definitely going to be involved in the short term. We just don't have a clear idea just yet of what it's going to look like. So hopefully that plan gets solidified in the coming weeks. And then we still play a pretty big part of it. So yeah, that's all I got.
Well, hey, stay tuned for episode 200 and a half, which won't be MEC. It'll feel like MEC, I think. Maybe I'll have different theme music or something. We'll see how that works. Maybe we'll call it No Pain, No Gain. Maybe we'll just call it whatever the topic is for now, because it's a transition. Appreciate all of you once again. Can't express that enough. I think I speak for all of us when I say thank you from the bottom of my heart. And don't think we're disappearing anytime soon. We're here. Even Erinn, and even when she starts pulling away, we're going to pull her back in a little bit, at least for some in some capacity. She'll be back. That's what friends are for.
Just when you see her tweet, just give her send her like a virtual hug.
Yeah, send me all the hugs. I'll take them. Sometimes I tweet often. I've been tweeting optimistically. I just have a lot of questions, existential questions.
I think that's a positive use of Twitter. Most people don't use it that way. So let's encourage that, if for nothing else, just to elevate the platform. Thank you. Stay tuned. More content from us coming very soon. Peace.
Bye, y'all.